Hello, this is a lesson on shortbread cookies. It is a creaming method procedure using whole butter, sugar. We have eggs, pastry flour, salt, and vanilla for flavoring. The pastry flour can be substituted using unbleached all-purpose flour, and if you can't find that in the grocery store, then you could also simply use all-purpose flour. First thing we're going to do is I've already cut our butter so that it would soften a little bit faster. So my butter was sitting out this morning, so closer to room temperature. And I'm going to soften that butter using the paddle attachment on the mixer. If you are going to do this by hand, use a heavy wooden spoon or a spatula, such as this one here. And once that butter gets a little bit softened by you beating it, or creaming it, now we're going to go ahead and add some sugar to it, or all of the sugar. Medium speed. I don't want to fluff it out and become too airy. But I do want it well creamed with the sugar, and also to become a little bit lighter. I'm going to shut my mixer off, scrape the sides of the bowl to make sure we have an even distribution of well creamed sugar and butter. So take the time to lift the bottom and the sides of your bowl. I'm going to turn it back on. It's a fun cookie to make, especially around the holidays, Valentine's Day, any time of year you have cookies to make. But I enjoy them most right around the Christmas holidays. So I have tons and tons of cookie cutters to use. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my 3 ounces of egg. Each egg is about 2 ounces, maybe a little bit under, so you might have to just remove a tad bit for approximately 3 ounces. And if you had 2 eggs, at the end of the day, it's not going to be so much that it's going to make a tremendous amount. You'd have a little bit more of a wet dough, but there's enough flour in this recipe to accommodate that little extra egg. And those are large eggs. So every so often you see me, I'm scraping the bowl, making sure that everything is well mixed. And one more time. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my vanilla, my salt, and now I'm going to begin to add my flour. It's 1.5 pounds of the pastry flour. And now I'm going to add the remainder. Make sure you have this on low speed, otherwise your flour is going to get all over the place, fly outside of the bowl, and you'll lose some of your flour. I'm going to continue to mix that on a medium-low speed, medium to low. And now it's beginning to come together. I want to make sure that I don't see any bits of dry flour. And that's it. You are going to distribute this over some plastic wrap, and then you are going to refrigerate your dough. So my dough rested in the refrigerator. It's well chilled. I'm going to use a bench scraper, which is what I did already, to cut it and just use the portion that I'm able to work with given my space. And also I just want to keep that dough chilled. So I'm going to put the remainder of my dough back in the fridge and until I'm ready to work with it. And I've rolled out some dough already. Brush the excess flour off. I'm just using a bit of all-purpose flour, and I have a rolling pin, and I roll it out to about 1/8 of an inch in thickness. You could use just about any cookie cutter for the holidays. It doesn't have to be the obvious, like a Christmas tree or lights, snowflakes. You could use a car, a train, a hippopotamus, whatever you happen to have can be turned into something holiday, Christmas holiday-ish. So here's like one of my favorites. It's a penguin. I've collected lots over the years, you know, a sleigh. So these are larger, and you know, you can get really, really fancy with decorating with your icings when you use small or large cookie cutters. So I like this one. It's a Christmas ornament. This is the top, and just cut down, and I'm just going to leave it there just for a second. But because they're well chilled, you're not going to deform them, and that's important. We want your guest, your family, to recognize the shape, and if you decide to you know, not follow those guidelines, then you will likely have some crazy shapes. Sometimes what I will do too is I will, just to create more space, do that. Just turn one upside down so that you could fit more down that row of cookies, okay? So these will bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. If you put more than one pan in the oven, the likelihood is that unless it's a convection oven, you will probably not get any browning on the one that is the tray underneath, the ones on top. So my suggestion is, if you do that, you're going to have to rotate, and or just bake one pan at a time. And also that bottom pan is likely to get a little too much heat, and if that's the case, you probably want to go ahead and double pan. You are looking for light golden brown on the bottom. These cookies should not have a bunch of browning on the tops. So I'm going to put these in the oven. I'm going to check them at about 12 to 14 minutes and see what they look like. If they require a little bit more browning, I will put them back in the oven. Okay? So here is my finished product. My cookies have baked and cooled. They are a little darker than what I would have liked. You could see the thickness of these here, and just a little less baking time. So on average, about 16, 17, 18 minutes, somewhere in that range. These will be covered with a nice royal icing. There's lots and tons of great decorating videos that you could refer to on Pinterest or Instagram. You can get some really nice ideas. A very basic recipe that I will leave with you is simply sifted powdered sugar, vanilla extract, egg white, maybe a little bit of lemon juice, and bring that together, stir it. Do not avoid whipping it, otherwise the icing will not lay flat because you will have incorporated air. And that is all we are going to do with this cookie for now, and enjoy baking them.